Hey, Kliq This fans, want to get closer to the show than ever? Join Kliq This TV. Kliq This TV offers early commercial-free access to wrestling's hottest podcast, plus live audience tapings of their show every friggin' week. Head to KliqThisTV.com now and get inside the show that's just too sweet.
The following podcast contains mature language and adult discussions.
Just keep opening and closing my stop box, Kev. It's like a masturbatory thing, kind of. Lock it. Again. Feels good. It's one of those. It's a stim for me, I guess.
You need to get your handgun.
Kliq This, the Kevin Nash podcast. He's Kevin, I'm Sean. Our respective states are not burning to the ground right now, although I could use some of that heat right now. I don't mind.
I'll pass.
Not podcast heat, but what'd you say?
I'll pass.
Oh, the heat? You know, you're cold too down there. You've 38
those fires.
degrees.
Yeah, but fucking that Dresden is fucking. Whew. You know, my entire, I would say probably since I was 17 years old, because I wanted to go to UCLA. That was like my dream, because that was like the basketball power. And I've wanted to go to Southern California. I've wanted to live in Southern California my whole life. And it just, something always stopped me from going. Something always stopped me. We got as far west as Scottsdale. And then I was looking for a beach place, and then, like I've said before, that, you know, the earthquake hit and there was damage to some houses. I looked at and I said, okay, maybe not this time. And then each time I went, then like each time I'd go back, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to find, and it, I could have got in probably at a fifth of what it is right now, especially around the beach areas. And but for some reason was always something that just told me, man, I don't know. And then last night I was watching Lawrence O'Donnell, because I was just flipping channels, and he was talking about, I didn't realize he lived out there. And I mean, I knew he was a writer. I knew he was on West Wing and all that stuff. And he was saying that Los Angeles is the only place that 365 days a year, you can lose your shit. You can lose everything you own, because there is no season on earthquake and there is no season on fires.
Right.
To whereas we have hurricanes. And I've said it a million times. If you die in a hurricane, it's because you're a fucking idiot. Because you've got 5 solid days. Now, with the climate change and everything else, there has been a lot of times where it's 100 miles out, it's a category 1. You go take a dump and you come back and it's a 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, and that's the whole thing that happens with all this is, you get the pre-evacuation warning. Stay tuned. So now you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to stay tuned. That's going to work. And, stay tuned, because, this things could change, rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't. And then by the time you go, oh shit, now they show the camera of from the helicopter, and there's 37 miles of traffic going up 95.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The evacuation routes that.
Yeah.
So if you had a magic wand and and you didn't have to pack your house and get the trucks loaded and all that stuff. If you could wave a magic wand and be living anywhere right now in the U.S., where would it be?
I'm pretty much there.
So you would keep that? You'd stay
Yeah,
there.
because I've made that. I mean, Tamara and I have made this conscious decision. Tristan made this conscious decision because we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it was just like, why would I pay 7 times the price for a view of the ocean? You know, just because I'm in California. Just to me, I mean, there's just the taxes are just alone are just unbelievable. I mean, you
mentioned
look.
UCLA. Uh-huh.
I was just going to say, you look at the. I mean, I got offers from like St. Mary and Loyola Marymount and Pepperdine. You know, like I tried to backdoor my mom on Pepperdine. What do you think about Pepperdine, Mom? Imagine going to college and playing at Pepperdine and just living in Malibu for 4 years.
Oh my God!
In 77.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you get recruited by UCLA?
Yeah.
So you could have gone.
I don't know. I mean, I filled out the questionnaire and I started getting. I don't know if Farmer was the assistant coach that was recruiting then or not, but I remember getting some, and then, you know, I had a breathe. I had a very inexperienced coach my senior year. It was his first year coaching, and it was too much for him. The amount of work that was going into where I was going to have to go to school. There were people, we had practice in the mornings. It was called 0 hour. So we would have a practice before school, and then we'd have a practice after school, because that's why I went to that school. It was just a basketball factory. And there would be on any given, Mike Bunker was was the coach from U of D that was recruiting me from Detroit. He was at every single morning session my entire senior year.
Wow.
So, I mean, you know, it was like you would go, so, you know, you would come out and you'd come out of the game, you'd look at me like, that's George Raveling, that's Digger Phelps. Like, you knew, you know, like a lot of times the head coaches would come watch you play in the bigger games. So
how does your coach, your high school coach, how do they keep you free from that distraction when?
What he does is he tells me that I have to get it to 6 schools like immediately, because you can only visit 6 schools. So why have more than that? So get it to 6 schools. And then my mom said, basically, I want to be able to have the option to see you play at least one time a year. So you have to be driving, which is like 500 miles from Michigan. So you take a protractor and you put that circle around, and, you know, half of that protractor is up in fucking Canada. So that takes, you know, there's nothing up there. And it's like, if you're not going to go to Michigan or Michigan State, why would you go to Wisconsin? Why would you go to Minnesota? You know, so a Big Ten was out. So about the furthest I could go away with weather that was a kind of a, because it was Bernard King was still playing at that point at Tennessee, and Ernie Grunfeld, so they were a basketball power. So, and I could have went to any of the ACC schools.
You would have been there at the same, if you picked Michigan State, you would have been there at the same time as Irving?
Absolutely.
Okay, right.
I'd have a national championship ring to go with my 2 Hall of Fames.
You would. And UCLA was your dream school. Best player to come out of UCLA. It's got to be Jabbar, right? Or Lou Alcindor at the time.
I would say he's one, and then but in the college game, it'd be like 1 and 1A would be because he was El Sender at that time, but Jabbar and Walton.
Right.
Bill Walton was a fucking stud.
Was Pete Maravich UCLA too?
No, he was LSU.
Okay.
I used to sit down in our tape room and watch the old 8mm tapes because they had them all filed, and I'd go and I'd find the old Maravich tapes when Tennessee played LSU.
Uh-huh.
You know, and he'd rack up like 56 points, and there was no 3-point line.
That's right.
You know, just like I remember when my son watched some clips of me playing basketball, and he's watching and he's like, why does it look so weird, Dad? I said, I said, it's just probably the shorts. We got the John Stockton shorts on. He goes, no. He goes, I said, we don't have a time clock. He goes, no, that ain't it. And I go, oh, fuck, we don't have a 3-point line.
No
line. He goes, oh, God, Dad, yes.
No shot clock, too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we didn't have a shot clock.
Yeah.
Remember that Holy Cross offense they used to run back in the day? Or that I don't think would Phil Ford have had a career in North Carolina had they not done that 4 corners with Phil Ford? You know, it was like
you still had, but rule wise, you still had underneath. You couldn't camp out underneath, right? If you were
still 3 seconds.
Still 3 seconds. Okay. Just thinking of how that changed the game, the 3-point line. And the shot clock too.
I mean, as the game has changed, and when I watch the games now, if you would have told me in 1979 when I started my junior year, that the offense would be, you know, when the ball went to the post, the postman's first, it would pivot, and instead of shooting the bank shot or a drop step for a dunk, that he would just basically fire the ball to the opposite corner where a guy was set up for 3. And, you know, I was watching a game the other day. God, let me think who it was. It was a college game. I want to think it was maybe Tennessee was playing, I don't know. I don't know if they were playing Oklahoma, but whoever they were playing, Tennessee was scoring a lot of field goals, but just around the basket. They were offensive rebounding, and Tennessee went up like 13, 14 points. And then they brought in a kid. I think it was Arkansas. They brought in a kid from Arkansas, like a 6'7" kid, that he hit three out of 4 shots were threes that he hit. And all of a sudden, it's like a fucking tie. The score completely changed, and you go, wow. Like because the NBA is just, I mean, it's just a 3-point bomb fest.
Mm-hmm.
There was a good game last night. The Thunder played Cleveland at Cleveland. Cleveland won, but I think that was one of the first times that a team that was in first place in the East played a team from the West that had a 15-game winning streak. So that was a fun game to watch last night.
How psyched is everyone right now that's tuning in after the Netflix debut this week? We just did 12 minutes on college basketball, bro.
Got to get some basketball.
I'm proud.
Got to get some basketball.
That's fine with me.
We're gonna definitely talk.
We're gonna touch that. I do want to hit the fires real quick too, because we know people obviously out there. We have a person on our show, Steve, our producer / engineer, who is safe. He is. They have called off his evacuation notice, and you talked to some friends that are okay today, right, Kev? So everyone
but we talked about we brought up Sandy. Did we talk about Sandy Taylor?
No, we talked off air about it.
Okay, well, we talked about Sandy Taylor off air last week, and she lived in Palisades, and I sent her a message. I said, you know, praying that everything's okay, and she said thank you for your prayers. I wasn't that lucky. So she lost her house.
Mm. Now, with Florida and hurricane and what's going on now with the insurance and stuff, is this now going to happen out there? I mean, not that this is a bad one, but this happens out there. I feel like every year and a half I'm reading about some raging wildfires that, we got to be nervous about for people we know there. Can you still insure against fire without paying out the asshole if you live out there?
I don't think so. I know that they were talking last night. I was watching the news, and there's definitely, as there is, flood zones in Florida, there are now distinct fire zones.
Fire zones, right.
So.
It's rough.
But, when they got, it's like a can't-win situation out there. So they got, remember in the summertime, they got a lot of rain for the summer. Like, especially like going into the fall, they got rain, and then now they haven't had rain, and God, like they're like 0.03 inches of rain, like in the last, I don't know, 2 months or whatever it is, and it's just like, as soon as that goes into drought, they get
flicks the cigarette.
Yeah, they get that substantial rain. It fires all that brush up. All that brush grows, and then it droughts, and I read something today. I don't know how true it was, but that Palisades fire was started by like 2 kids or 2 people.
Yeah, it can, like you said, when the conditions get like this. And then you have the rain and you pick mudslide or raging inferno. Pick one.
Me, I'll take the mudslide.
You know what I'm saying?
I'd rather be smothered than burned to death. There was a horrific Instagram thing where there was 2 young guys and a dog, and they're in a house, and it was like floor to ceiling windows all the way around this kitchen. Like on 3 sides, and there was like a solid wall, like where the pantry was, and there was hallways, and they were like trying to go out and put this thing out and try to maintain it. And finally they just made a run for it, and it was like, God, like fire to me is just, whew.
Yeah, no, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Even when candles are on in the house, I get like, I have one eye on them constantly.
I'm used to that because of the losing the power for the hurricanes down here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we light a candle for tea every Tuesday and Wednesday. Because that's when he went in, and that's when he passed. So that's kind of when we're home.
As
which is always.
I was going to say, as horrific as those fires are, Edge's promo on AEW.
That was fire.
That was, talk about fire. You saw, I wish I couldn't find the specific clip you told me, because you said there was an insert of, did you say it was Roman?
Whoever put it together on Instagram, they put Adam cutting a promo, and I made reference to you. I said, and he like says a line about MJF, and I said
lands a little soft.
Well, I said it sounded like the applause that like the females get during the billiards on ESPN, like. So, I just saw that, and then it shoots right to Roman Reigns saying no pop at all. I was just like, wow.
I wanted to find that one. I couldn't, but here's it in its raw form. No pun intended.
We can't show that, can we?
Yeah, probably not, I guess. Right?
That's not even. Yeah, that's just, there it is. Thanks, Adam.
There's the intensity.
I don't want to give them $1. I don't want them coming after me. It wasn't a good look.
We don't want to taste the biscuit.
No, I
We don't want to taste the Tony Khan biscuit.
Yeah, I don't want to taste the biscuit. Did you see where an announcer from New Japan used the term money mark on Tony? And and Tony had the guy suspended from New Japan.
Is this a work?
I don't know. Dom says his name was Chris Charlton. Suspends announcer. I mean, come on, really?
It was on the Wrestle Dynasty broadcast, for God's sakes.
Well,
there was a cross promotional show, I guess, over there, and what was the actual quote?
He said that it was something. He just called him a money mark.
Shivani came out referencing the news on social media and said the following statement that was later deleted. Speaking for all of us in AEW, GFY, go F yourself. So, that's a good Tony, company man.
Yeah, go fuck yourself as Tony left the bank. What? Yeah. If anybody's gonna pick a time to to hold your ground, it's definitely if somebody calls the guy that's paying you a money mark.
I'm gonna swing for you, Tony. You don't even have to lift your hand.
Yeah,
Tony Khan.
Don't you say that again? I'll take a pay cut.
Fernham Schnavitz III was listening and watching last week. He said, guys, I have to say how much I love this show. There's no other show that I can send a message asking about shitting on a plane, and the hosts treat it so seriously and treat it as if we're discussing a military operation that is being laid out methodically. That was
basically
more interesting to me than talking about military operations that we talked about here for the last 2 years.
Right.
That and I take a more vested interest because my chances of being involved in a military operation at this point in my life are very low. However, maybe using a bathroom where somebody took a squirt in the sink is apparently very high, what I learned from my my compatriot Kevin here. So, yeah, I'm more vested.
I wasn't taking a shit though.
Yeah, no, but still, bathroom shenanigans.
I mean, I never really thought anything of it because it's like anything else. It's like if you're going to drive across country and you make yourself like you take a bottle of bleach with you that's not, without anything in it, and you take a buck hunting knife and you cut a piss portal in it. I mean, it's and you pull on the side of the road and you piss instead of getting all the way off and da. Like, I know one thing especially if I'm traveling alone, like I'm not going to get shot in the back of the head when I stop to piss if I don't stop to piss.
You greatly increase your chances by 100% of that not happening.
Yeah. So it's, that's like I always say to people, I said, I've never really had a fear of crashing in an airplane when I wasn't on one. So
your car, your Kliq car, who had to do the most piss stops?
Oh God, once you broke the seal on Scott, you could forget it.
Once you guys started having beers?
No, he was great. We were all great, but once he broke the seal and had to piss, after his first piss, it'd be like, yo, guys. And I used to always rib him and go, oh, fuck, you had to piss, right? I got zip by another exit. You're a fucking dick. I'm going to piss in your bag.
That would annoy me. I would say, wait till we get to the bar.
No. The ruling is, like, you don't make anybody hold your piss.
But with 4 guys, this could be every
4 or 5.
4 or 5. This could be every.
No, because it's like you learn. You get out. If somebody's got to go,
you all go.
Everybody gets out. I don't care if you stand there with your dick in your hand for a minute and a half. You give it a shot.
Mm-hmm. Were these roadside pisses, or are we pulling into a convenience store?
No, this is 9 times out of 10. It's back of the hatch open, and then you open the front door and the back door of the Cadillac. If we're in a car like that, and then you stand and act like you're going through bags and shit, and then that way the guy that has to piss can just use the door on either side of him, so nobody can see him pissing. Because he's basically in a stall. He's just pissing out into the grass.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we were in Wisconsin and we stopped and pissed on the side of the road, and Scott got bit by a brown recluse.
The spider?
Yeah.
Recluse, yeah.
Recluse, yeah, whatever the fuck it's called. And
on his
no, on his leg.
Okay.
And by the time
I was waiting for you to tell me you sucked the venom out. This would have been a whole different show.
By the time we got to the building, there was a little bit of red mark, and Grizz, Jake's dad was the road agent. He said, "You got bit by a spider, boy." Next day, fucking, we were taking him to the emergency. Man, that shit just it eats like it's flesh eating, that venom.
Wow.
Looked like somebody put a cigarette out in his leg.
Would they just load him up with the anti-venom?
No, actually, a guy came in and sucked him off.
Right. Okay.
So.
So the Rams game, Steve, very excited for us to announce that the Rams game will be moved to Arizona due to the wildfires. I don't know if this is going to affect anybody's betting. If anyone laid any money on that already, the line may change.
It's got to help the Vikings.
Yeah. Josh Henney, our friend, a longtime 11 Soft member, diagnosed with influenza A plus pneumonia. With my heart and lung diseases, it's been a rough week. Appreciate the entertainment you give us to make recovery bearable.
Tell you one thing, man. I have had so many of my friends get pneumonia this year.
My daughter's got the flu, my oldest, back from college. She went to take the test and it said negative, but she's had a fever for a week. She's got the flu.
If she's got a fever and there's no temperature, she might just need some cowbell.
That's the recipe, right? It needs the recipe. That's the recipe. More cowbell. So yeah, no, everybody's sick. It's cold everywhere. It's just
except for those fucking Netflix Raw numbers, baby.
Those are about as hot as Cope's promise.
5 million.
That's unbelievable. So up like 120% or something.
Yeah,
like that,
I think the actual number I saw on the press release was 116.
So you knew you'd get the curiosity buys. I even said it on the air. So you'll have a record number and then it'll normalize. But even if it drops off 20-25%, that's that'll be 100% increase nearly in the rating if they can maintain. From how many eyeballs would find it on USA.
Yeah, so one of my she just left our house before I came down here. Maddie came over. It was a really good friend of Tristan's, and she came over to see Tam. Well, I mean, she said hi to me too, but her and Tam have kept in contact, and she was saying, I watched that Raw on Netflix. And I said, really? I said, she goes, well, they made such a big deal about it. Exactly. She goes, the night of it was just like raw, 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 raw. She says, so I watched it. She goes, and I know it's all fake. So how do they, and she's asking me, so I said to her, I said, well, I really want to watch the Punk Seth match again. So I said, let's go back to this so we can. And she's like, and she was asking me different questions. And she's like going, no, that's not what the ring's made of. And no. And like when she watched it and CM Punk kind of backdrops Seth onto the cement over by the barrier.
Mm-hmm.
And he lands on the cement, and she goes, "So is that really a cement floor?" I said, "No." I said, "They come in early in the day with the jackhammers, take all that up, and put like a synthetic,
Foam.
yeah, so you can have that." I said it's laid out to that degree. But the fact that she's never watched pro wrestling in her life, and she watched it, and she watched the whole show, and she found it fascinating.
Really?
Yeah.
This was like a social experiment for
And
her.
she said, like, to me, she goes, "So who gets to be, like, do they determine, like, do they, like, sit down and discuss it? Like, who gets to be the blonde girl and who gets to be the dark girl with all the tattoos?" I said, "I think the dark girl with all the tattoos gets to be her because she is that."
Mm-hmm.
I said,
Well,
because
she
she
thinks
was.
they put it all on in the locker room and decide what you're going to be
Well,
that
yeah,
night
like
only.
it's almost like Harley Quinn on a Joker movie.
Right.
Like you put on your outfit, and then when you get done, you shower, and you leave, and you're Lady Gaga.
So yeah, you're going to have those curiosity buys. They won't stay with it, I don't think, but
never
still, they'll still
know.
keep the number up. Well, we'll check in with what's her name next week.
Maddie.
We'll see what Maddie's doing next week.
Yeah.
Jen Vargo, we want to send some wishes out to. She was another old timer here. She said her 83-year-old uncle in Florida fell and fractured a leg and both knees. Oldest of her dad's brothers. Whatever your belief system is, I appreciate good thoughts and prayers. So, Jen, we do hope that he is back in action. Let us know if he watched Raw this week, because he was probably at home and bedridden. Doubt Barisha said, just watching this and think you guys would dig it. If you liked The Old Man with Jeff Bridges, The Agency with Fasbender, the show is impressing the F out of me. Love the pod. Keep up the great work. Kev, did you see either one, Old Man or Agency?
I watched Old Man, and I watched episodes. I'm on episode 7 of The Agency. I've talked about it on the show. That's the one that's got Richard Gere in it.
Okay. Now, and Old Man was
Jeff Bridges
that one I remember.
Lithgow.
Who's the other one? John Lithgow. That's right.
Yeah. I think that Old Man, I find it better. Fassbender's though, like Fassbender's really, I like him. It's both are very well casted. It's just The Old Man it was a very good story. It was well done.
All right. Yeah. So Doubt, he has checked them out. Thomas Logan wrote in and said, you're doing MotorCityComicCon in May and you arrive on an early flight. That gives you plenty of time to hit the weights.
It's April.
You head over to Gold's Gym on Hoover Road right by the Little Caesars, which you plan to hit up. I didn't realize there was all this text. I thought he was just going to ask you if you were going to go work out. You take a quick with Steve. Scroll up because I don't have it in my script. Hoover Road, you take a quick 2-minute break to take a piss and tell the guy working out next to you to keep an eye on your stuff. You arrive back to the Smith machine you've been using, and Logan Paul has taken your Tiger's gym bag and fancy Prada stainless steel thermos and kicked them to the side like yesterday's garbage. He's using the Smith machine to do slow hip thrusts at a very low weight, whilst taunting you by saying, I like that canteen, Cecil Fielder. Do you ask him nicely to move, retrieve your gear from the gutter and ignore him completely, or kick his ass with extreme prejudice from Detroit to Puerto Rico? Happy New Year, gents.
Yeah, I don't do any. I don't have any. Number one, I don't go to the gym.
On the road.
Yeah,
you go to the gym. You just don't go to the gym on the road.
I'm going to be in town for 3 days.
Do you use the Smith machine?
Yeah.
Okay. Named after who? Who the hell was Smith?
I think it's after Tom Thornton.
Right, but didn't name it the Thornton machine. That's
no, he said it could be anybody's name. Be Tom Smith. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So they named it the Smith machine.
Ryan from the gym, so I think WWE should have read the room in Deep Blue Cali and had Kevin Nash come out and promote Jackknife Cannabis or Get Blitzed, Click This Podcast flavors with Sean. Sucks for Hogan. Maybe a skit with additional talent, more subtle product placement would have been better.
Somebody's got to be a heel.
Well, the fans always choose. Isn't that the case in wrestling? Once you learn that you can plan.
I think that
no pun.
if he wasn't ponied up financially with that Real American Beer with the WWE, because the last thing you want to do is with your logo, face, likeness on a can of beer that you're selling, cut a promo on the crowd.
But you don't think that today
No.
a cool heel could move product?
It's not, but that's not what a cool heel didn't come out on fucking Trump's at the RNC and tear his shirt. That wasn't a cool heel.
It wasn't cool, but it made him a heel.
Not to fucking to the red, it didn't.
But
He's
you're
over.
standing
He was
in-
over. You got to look at the play. The play was come out and then tear that All-American shirt off and have a Netflix shirt on. He thought that what he did at the RNC was going to work in LA.
Correct. But my question to you, you walk out, you realize after 30 seconds, 45 seconds,
No, Terry's
you're
not gonna
dancing
do-
to one tune, but the DJ's
Terry's
playing something
Terry's
else.
not going to do that. Hulk's not going to do that.
I think Paul would have understood.
But it's not to be understood if it was never going to. It wasn't even an audible in his brain.
But why let it be a car crash? Can't you save the car
No,
crash?
because as soon as dissect it. As soon as he realized that they were turning on him, he said, "Man, I've been doing this for 4 decades." Like, in other words, fuck you guys. Like, I'm Hulk Hogan. Like, if you don't have enough respect for me to not boo me out of this place, then fuck you. I'm going to say what I have to say. I'm going to get my thing out. I did hear that as he walked back, he looked over at Jimmy Hart and he goes, "Man, you got heat." So Hulk's. I've never been Hulk Hogan, so I can't speak for him, but I have traveled with him, and it's like that's a different level than almost anybody in our business.
To be Hulk Hogan.
Yes. So to be Hulk Hogan and go out there, I did not think that they would shit on him. Because the last time he came out was a couple of years ago, and he blew the roof off.
So let me ask you a question then. So all right. So Hogan had to do what he had to do no matter what.
No, he did what he was going to do. He was going to sell beer.
That's what I mean. So he went out,
Right.
he did what he was there to do, and couldn't deviate, wouldn't have called an
Right.
audible and changed
Not
it up.
his demographic. He's not going to.
So there's my question. Are our friends, the McMahon family, so ensconced in the bubble, and I don't mean the wrestling bubble, I mean the MAGA bubble, that they don't realize they're in LA, not their demo, as you said, and Hogan, the last thing he did in mainstream media was that you don't even realize.
Is Paul so much smarter than that he knows that that's exactly the response he's going to get? And if Hulk Hogan shows up and they cheer, it doesn't make BBC that Hulk Hogan got booed out of the fucking building because they were on Netflix and they still, I mean, what got more? Nothing got more coverage than Hulk being booed.
Well, they say all press is good press. There's no such thing as negative press. But do you think it was that thought out? You don't think it was just a gaffe on there?
But you're saying one thing. I'm just saying, who's to say that they weren't smart enough to know that that's exactly what they were going to get? Number one, you walk out in L.A. and you sell a fucking 280-calorie lager beer. It's not light. It's not low carb.
They were selling it to 5 million eyeballs watching.
You're selling it. No, but you're selling Budweiser. You're selling red can Budweiser. You're not selling Bud Light. You're selling old school Budweiser beer.
Yeah.
Where's the demo for that? It sure as fuck ain't in some building that you've got to give a blood sample on your phone to be able to get a soda and use the toilet.
Well, that brings up a whole other thing. Was that the right venue for this show? Forget about Hulk. Was that a wrestling crowd? Did a wrestling crowd show up that night?
I think but at the same time, you've got it's the newest building in the area. Nobody's been there because the Clippers suck dick. So it ain't like you've been to a Clippers game just to go there. So this is a chance to go to the new building to see all the toys and bells and whistles at every seat. You've got the Netflix people that are
entertain
from there.
The Netflix people, the
Absolutely.
TKO people, everybody who shows up. It's the right place for a party. Again, so it's the right place for a party, but not for wrestling.
It's the perfect place for a Netflix opening party of the WWE Raw.
Except there's a dead crowd on your product, on your television in 5 million homes.
But if you go back to me and Shawn Michaels sitting in Vince's office and saying, but wouldn't you rather let us work this way? So wouldn't you rather have 12,000 people cheering for the match, half for one guy, half for the other, than to have 5,000 people cheer for one guy? And he'd be like, no. I want to control the narrative. So.
Well, this is interesting. So you guys this was before.
This is 94, 95.
Right. Before which match? Do you remember? Was this that?
It was WrestleMania.
It was WrestleMania.
We were going into WrestleMania, and it was just like there was things we could have done because he was popular, and I wanted it to be a little edgier, more heelish.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of wanted to work kind of a gray match at WrestleMania, and he said absolutely not.
Which is funny because the recipe for success for Vince becomes when the good guy bad guy thing was gone in the Attitude Era. I mean, you had heels and faces, but the heels became the faces, and
yeah. But how quickly did we turn back to a blonde-haired, red, white, and blue white meat babyface?
Mm.
What do we have right now? Who's our unified, undisputed champion?
Mm-hmm.
A guy in a fucking that comes down in a fight in a fucking suit to start the show.
Yeah, it's cyclical, but at the time, though, shortly after what you're talking about, the time you're talking about when Vince said, "I want one person," and then I decide who that is.
If you remember when I dropped the belts, I did exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
I worked middle.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then NWO again, heels, but you took a lot of garbage thrown into the ring. But
yeah, but I
sold
think
more shirts than
Hulk had heat, Scott, and I didn't.
Interesting.
Put us in NWO shirts.
Uh-huh.
And let me and Hulk walk out on Netflix and him sell that beer and see what his response is.
Mm. So where does the Hogan thing go now? I mean, he's an advertiser, but was he just there because it was the big night and
Well, I mean,
did
it
his
was
thing, introduced his product on Netflix in front of 5 million eyeballs?
He's in business with the WWE, Real American Beer.
But does it become something on camera related to the product? The product being the wrestling product,
I heard
not
that
the
they're
beer.
going to have the Real American Beer on maybe a turnbuckle, kind of like that Prime was.
I'm sure, but is Hogan going to be there on camera?
He doesn't need to be.
Correct. So this was really just to introduce the beer, get his face on camera.
Hulk's beat to fuck, man.
Oh no, not to wrestle. No.
No, I'm just saying Hulk is beat to fuck. The last thing he wanted to do, he sucked it up like a fucking warrior just to come out of that tunnel as far as he did to cut the promo because his fucking back is killing him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people that, he's a tough motherfucker, man. Because I know he's in pain like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
So no, I watched it. I felt bad for him but at the same time, it's just like, man, I'd rather get a response than none. And then I watched that thing the next day with Adam in the ring, and I went, oh.
More painful, right?
God, I mean, dude,
pecker curls up like a turtle's head.
Yeah, whoa, God, man. Fuck that.
You know what would have made it a little easier? A little VIIA, if to take the edge off. No pun intended.
Well, you're in Cali, so that should have been an option.
That's right. I meant for Adam, but yeah, for Hogan too. VIIA, if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, Kevin and I are such big proponents of this product. Don't just trust us. We're talking about over 500,000 happy customers. Okay, VIIA is the Swiss Army knife of wellness, dedicated to harnessing the natural benefits of hemp to create high-quality wellness products. Whether you're looking to improve your sleep, focus, recovery, add a little pep to your style, or just get high, VIIA has something for you. Products range from 0 to 100 milligrams of THC. That's like Joey Diaz level shit. I'm fine with the 10. They come packaged like this. There's a host of products all listed for a different desired effect. I'm holding the High Love. I know Kevin is a big fan of the High Love he's talked about. This is a strawberry crush flavor, and it tells you right there what's going to give you that desired effect. It tells you that love is the desired result, and 5 milligrams THC, 10 milligrams THCV, and 10 milligrams of CBD here. That concoction will deliver what that promises. Let's say we're talking about sleep. I need a little sleep aid every once in a while. Dreams is their sleep aid product. Midnight Berry being the flavor, and this is 5 milligrams THC, 90 milligrams of CBD to get you relaxed, and 15 milligrams of CBN. All thoughtfully put together. They are well-renowned for their award-winning THC and THC-free gummies and vapes. There's also THC-free supplements in there. They ship legally to nearly all the states in the U.S. in discreet packaging directly to your door with a worry-free guarantee. No medical card required. So if you're 21 plus, check out our link to VIIA's website in the description. You got to use this link because it'll take you to the Kliq page and you'll get 15% off. And if you're new to VIIA, you're going to get a free gift of your choice. So go use the code Kliq, Kliq. Please make sure that you use the link in the description. And guys, this is natural. Unlock the power of nature. It is the only lifestyle hemp brand. They are clearly the industry leader and award-winning. So if you're 21 plus, check out the link to VIIA in the description. Use the code KLIQ, K-L-I-Q, and receive 15% off. And if you're new to VIIA, get a free gift of your choice. After your purchase, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support this show. Tell them we sent you. Work hard for this, guys. Hard to bring you the best products out there. Maybe I'll do this mental masturbation all day instead of the stop box. I'll just open and close my VIIA. I'm going to have to take my VIIA soon. Get ready for...
I'm going to have to. I'm
Chase
going
the
to have to
Sandman.
because it's been too long since I've been fucking crystal clear for too long.
Join us at clickthistv.com. Be part of the 11 Soft Club. That's the live audience that's here, that asks us the questions, that sits in for our pre-show shenanigans, and also gets the shows early, without commercials, and special stuff that pops up on their feed. Clickthistv.com. David Van Bogelen, Hulk is in such bad shape, guys. I've seen him in Tampa when I went for the Rumble, and he walked by me and had to use my shoulder to stay upright. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I saw when the last time he got hardware taken out of his back, man, it was just like, God, the amount of screws and bolts and shit that he had taken out of his back.
His finisher for years, that leg drop, where you're landing in a
What do
seated
you mean for
position.
years? Let's say 30 years.
Yeah, landing in a seated position. You're
With
weighing 320
with all your weight on your
on your ass, on your spine,
and on one side of your spine.
Correct, because you got the other one up, and you want to soften that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's rough.
I mean, Taker tells that story where I forget who he's talking to. Maybe I think it was Harley, and they were someplace, and Taker walked in for TV, and he was limping, and Harley said, "What's wrong?" He said, yeah. He said, let me check that, if I can, Mark, out of respect, and basically Harley just jerked his leg out of his socket, and he said, but Mark said, but lo and behold, I can actually get out there and work, and he told me you got to drop that finish. And he said, by the time the match was over, Mark said, I was crippled again. He said, but shortly after that, he said, I took heed to that and dropped that finish. So,
what was it that Harley did? He adjusted his.
He just laid him on his back and grabbed his foot or his boot or whatever he had and just jerked it. Just jerked it straight out. Chiropractors will do that. They'll do but they don't do it. They don't do it like Harley.
No, I love those old timers with their.
Harley probably had his fucking the heel of his boot on your balls, in between your legs, to get some leverage.
Exactly, with the cigarette ash dripping on your sack.
I told that motherfucker this is gonna hurt a little bit.
So Hogan wasn't the only familiar face we saw the other night. Rock was there. Yeah. Rock, babyface Rock now, right? Hollywood Rock now. Not what I saw last year.
Not just babyface Rock, but board member Rock.
He was board member Rock when he was assassinating Cody Rhodes last year next to the bus. Could have still done something. Looks like that's not going to happen then, huh? Based on what we saw.
Not if you say, tell me, Mama Rhodes I said hi.
But so we can probably not expect them at WrestleMania in wrestling capacity.
It's a long way to WrestleMania.
Why would you have that Dwayne walkout last week then? If you got plans,
why?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just
swerve. If this is a swerve, and
no, I'm just gonna shoot from the. I'm just gonna throw some ideas out there.
Go ahead, throw some.
We know that people like Maddie, who have never seen our show before, are going to put eyes on it. So maybe take somebody with the largest Q rating in our company, and maybe after you see Triple H, the boss, the next person you see is the guy that's worth $800 million and has been on everything for the last 20 years. That's not wrestling, including the fucking Red Notice or whatever it was that showed up on
The Santa, the Christmas.
yeah, with the fucking abominable snowman and all that shit. So you have that guy come out, and then you make the correlation of, oh, and he's got a belt, even though it's the Ali belt. He's got a belt, so if you don't know shit, he's big as a house. He's got a belt, and he's talking wrestling in a wrestling ring. I think that why wouldn't you use him?
You'd use him. Oh, you mean for WrestleMania?
No,
because I think you've
for Netflix, for anything.
No, use him for Netflix, but I'm saying the way they used him, they in essence stamped out what they'd done a year ago, and to jumpstart it, you're gonna change him again.
All you got to do it to jumpstart. I think that for me watching it, I took it as he came out, and you can say he said, "I'm not involved. I'm involved." Whatever. I don't know what his shoot schedule is. I don't know what his next projects are. So if there's no reason to fucking light a debt cord if for the next 90 days he's going to be working on set someplace. But I do know that the next guy that's going to come out, who I really can't see, but I can see, who's doing a farewell tour, and it's going to be really active, and he needs to tell me that the only way that he could possibly end up at WrestleMania is to, I don't know, maybe win the Royal Rumble? Well, you sure as fuck don't want Dwayne convoluting that with any thought pattern. So now you want your next guy, Cena, to open that up and say, I'm gonna win the Royal Rumble. Everybody knows road to fucking WrestleMania starts at Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. So why would you have two stories right there when you want that story to go forward? You can take that big motherfucking Dwayne and put him in wherever the fuck you want to.
I just think that if someone came to me, if I was in a position of power in WWE and they said, yeah, we want Hogan here, we want Rock here, the next thing I would say is, okay, how can we involve them? And they just seemed not to be involved. They seemed like they were in town. They did the guest spot. The guest spot on Love Boat. Nothing's going to be happening next week. They're here to just to be in the promo for this week's episode of Love Boat Saturday night and moving on. Just didn't feel organic, and it didn't feel they had a place in the show. Other than exactly the things you said, one, to sell beer as part of the deal, probably. Terry, come out with it. Terry, come out. We'll give you time on camera in a promo capacity to sell that beer, and we'll kick off the campaign with that. So that was a commercial, and then Rock was there because he's a recognizable face, and Maddie's watching, and she knows who voiced Como se llama, whatever his name was in Moana, and they wanted to keep them engaged. Had nothing to do with wrestling, had nothing to do with the product, had nothing to do with anyone who watches every week. That's just how I feel.
You're absolutely allowed your thought.
I thought the Punk Rollins match was good. I
thought, I mean, to me, if the best guy you have is Logan Paul, where was he? I mean, is it the fact that you don't want that association from that Tyson?
Oh, because that was
last time we saw him on Netflix, it was buffering.
The Netflix executive said,
no
one named Paul.
No one named Paul could be on the show.
Unless it's his first name.
Oh, by the way, if anybody wants to tell Logan I said that, it's the same guy he didn't know from the last time I said something.
Right. So, Logan, take your shirt off, go out into the woods, and get your phone ready.
and while the fucking message you sent me buffers.
But so good match. I asked you today. I was thinking about Punk's age, and which is like in my ballpark, kind of, and the importance of
How old is Punk, Steve? Go ahead.
Yeah, find that out for me. The pace of today's wrestling doesn't favor the guy that's 45, 46. Like Roman's what? 40? All right, so he's 40, so Punk's 46.
Yeah.
So it doesn't favor the guys because of the frenetic pace of the matches. Guys, 40 years ago could work into their 50s.
But how old do you think their crew is?
The rest of the crew?
Pull up AJ.
All right, so Roman's 39.
Pull up AJ and pull up Randy Orton. Their ages.
$47 for AJ.
Right. I mean, their crew is.
Randy's 44.
Yeah, their crew is.
Yeah. Well, that's the top of the top of the card. And Cena's 47, but he's just coming back.
Okay, so but name their top 15 guys, and they're all. They're not. There's no kids.
Okay, right. So conditioning is what I'm going to now. And whereas there was a time Vince was very big on the monsters. He wanted the things that hooked me. He knew how to hook me when I was, 10 and 12 to see real life superheroes that I'd never quite seen anyone in person in this condition, whether it was a King Kong Bundy or a Tony Atlas, two very different body types. But
those people condition wise, I mean, those bigger than, the Hercules and all those guys, they weren't cardiovascularly conditioned.
Correct.
The work rate was fucking, was slow as hell.
That's what I'm saying. So back then, whereas the emphasis was on size, and now you've got to be able to the cardio these guys do. You would tell me about somebody's routine that you knew about. Someone on the
I was talking about
roster.
Seth Rollins is supposed to. I mean, he's supposed to be in amazing shape as far as he does like CrossFit.
Yeah,
he's one of those He's like Cesario, and like there's some of those guys that are just. But CM Punk, you can just look at him at 46 years old, and he's got abdominal fat. He's just not genetically ever going to, have that. He's not going to have big, giant, fucking rounded delts. And it doesn't matter whether he's on the gas, not on the gas. It's like.
But despite that, and at 46, you've got to, when called upon, be able to go out and do 35 minutes on a pay-per-view.
But they only went 20 minutes.
No, that's last night. I'm talking about if he's in WrestleMania, and that's going to be a longer match. So what's required of these guys now is so much more.
I don't think that it's any more than was asked of Shawn or anybody else that wasn't a fucking big giant motherfucker in their era.
That's when it started to change, right? When the guys like Shawn and Brett and Owen,
Sean Waltman.
Right. So Vince sacrifices his penchant for size a little bit with guys that can go. And that was a turn in the business. I was asking you about Scott today, because Scott was another guy he was a big guy. And another guy whose conditioning, I would suspect, was always top notch.
But he was and I said he was a genetic freak.
Right.
You'd see Scott in the back, he'd look like a homeless guy. He'd grab a fucking rubber tube and do 3 curls and be 265 and look like he was getting ready for like the 68 universe.
You walked to the curtain, he joined you. Like, when did you show up?
Yeah, what the fuck? And there are so many people that have made that analogy that were like way younger. Like, like when we came back and they were just like, God, I saw Scott in the back, and Then he walked around a corner and he came back like 30 seconds later, and it was like a different human being. He was just such a genetic freak. It just
Yeah. And the video package we talked about a little bit today.
The video package, the thing that started that the whole night, where it went from basically the essence of it started as a carnival, and then man, they made that emphasis with Gorgeous George, and it became really like a staple of television and in everyone's home, and they just showed the progression of the business, and then they dropped that thing, and here's Paul, and they're on Netflix.
Yeah,
and it was just like that was, and I don't care if you're anybody that's ever been in the business and got a paycheck for bouncing around on that canvas, whether it was an enhancement guy, whatever it was, because I think every one of those bricks helped bring it to where it was that night, and you had to have some kind of pride of the fact, like, fuck yeah, man, like this is huge.
Yeah.
And then the next day to wake up and go, and we beat Squid Game. So,
yeah, number 1 to Squid Game's
number 2.
Bubba.
To Squid Game to the arch.
Cause all of them. Steve Lombardi, Mario Mancini.
Man,
this is your win.
Damn right, man. It's that's fucking huge. And for Vince McMahon, Vince isn't a part of it anymore, man. But
no, listen. He built the empire. There's
damn
no
right he
question
did
about that. And he has the palace to prove it. That is now the WWE. A massive, massive operation as compared to what he bought in 1983, doing TVs, 2 nights concurrently every 3 weeks at Allentown and Hamburg and these.
I look at since Paul has got his hands, and I kind of count Paul as when NXT, when the Performance Center, when that whole concept of basically, and I've said it a million times, I know it's redundant, but for somebody that's out there on a nightly basis, working on his craft, working his way to the top of the card, and at the same time having the fucking thought pattern of, this is a very specific thing that we do, to the point of not only do we need to teach the guys to work in the style that we want them to work moving forward, we need to teach the guys that shoot it to give them a place to learn to shoot it the way we want it to shot, that we want the truck ran the way we want it to. So generation after generation after generation, we have new camera guys. We don't have a guy that's, been on the handheld for 30 years, and he's like, well, can I have like 2 weeks off so I can get my lower lumbar fucking fused? No.
Right. It's the training ground for the entire operation, not just, we talk about NXT as the young guys in the ring, but you're absolutely right. That's the place to go to learn their brand of production. You got to make the Big Mac if you work at McDonald's, and you got to shoot a certain way. Production has to look a certain way.
I mean, and there's people that'll say that, it's overproduced, or it's this or it's that, and I'd rather watch AEW because I like the rawness of it. And, I mean, that's great too. I mean, I'm so glad that there's AEW, because I have friends there that are still, they're paying their bills with that check.
Yeah, I'm glad when I sit on the bowl, Kevin, I can have an experience where I can walk out of the restroom, in my home, knowing that I am completely fresh, well cleaned, and ready to face whatever stands before me.
I see how you tied that in with AEW.
Thank you very much. That's right. Taking a shit. Guys, if you're convinced that you've already got the best version of yourself, you've never looked downstairs at your butthole, okay? All that hair, all those spicy wings, do yourself a favor and buy a bidet, okay? And we are talking about our friends at TUSHY, okay? I have my TUSHY now installed in the downstairs bathroom. Super easy to do, by the way. What are we talking? We're talking about the cleanest bathroom experience you can have for you and your partner or whoever inhabits your home. Best part about it, the installation, super easy. It screws in, you connect your water hose, you're ready to go. It's discreet. It fits in your existing toilet, okay? This experience as compared to toilet paper where you're just sloshing stuff around, it's absolutely barbaric. It's time to bring this its toilet experience into the next generation. We're still doing it like cavemen. We may not be using the fig leaves, but still. TUSHY is the modern bidet attachment that instantly transforms your bathroom habits and butt health for life. You'll never go back, guys. The TUSHY bidet easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing or electricity. Washing with a precise stream of fresh water removes 99% of bacteria as compared to wiping with toilet paper. Gives you 2-in-1 benefits, by the way. Reduces irritation and prevents micro tears with soothing water instead of scratchy toilet paper. And, you get those little blood marks on there. No, we're doing this the right way. Okay, every TUSHY bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return policy and a 12-month warranty. Instantly improve your health from the bottom up. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use code KLIQ, K-L-I-Q, at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet at HelloTushy.com. Use the promo code KLIQ, K-L-I-Q. That's HelloTushy.com. Love my TUSHY. Thank you, guys.
It's for people that poop.
Yeah. Only for them.
I just want to say, though, that I don't think that you need to eat spicy fucking shit wings in order to use a bidet. I just want to say that.
No, but a lot of our barbarians out there do.
But you brought that up like it was like that. And then you're like, I wipe my ass all the time. I don't have blood.
I
what
read
the
copy. Sometimes I riff. Sometimes I read what's got to be in there. It's jazz. My commercial reads are jazz. Sometimes I follow the notes. Sometimes
fecal matter and blood. I'm thinking like Jesus Christ.
Infection. Absolutely.
At that point, I before I wipe my ass, I'd go outside and have my wife take the fucking hose to me.
That's what you're doing with the TUSHY. That's exactly
I understand that. I have one.
Yeah. You never grinded that toilet paper, so you never got one of those that snapped off in the middle, and you grinded so much you had a little red.
No, man, I fucking take in 30 grams of fiber a day. My shit falls out of me like the Play-Doh Fun Factory.
Dr. Drillin' Phil. The spicy wings was in the copy, you prick.
Was it really?
It really was, yeah. I didn't want this episode to go away without. I mean,
without colon cancer,
without the discussion of rectal itch, without talking to you about the Joker, which I feel very vindicated. I stand alone with very few people who would defend this film as something worthwhile and different. And I feel like you're going to agree with me after having
it got. She bashed it at the Golden Globes.
Who's she? Lady Gaga?
Glacier.
She
was talking about Wicked, and she said, then she said something about the show. Oh, they're not here. In other words, like it didn't get nominated for anything.
It's fine.
No, you had seen that, and it was. I didn't go to the theater and see it. I think you and Wes saw it at the theater.
Not together.
No, I'm just saying, I would happily of our crew, and I don't know if Steve went, but I said I'll wait. I was going to wait, and then it was like $15.99. I said, dang, fucking. I saw the reviews. I said, I'm not jumping in there for $15.99. And then it was $5.99. I said, if it's $5.99, 2 weeks it'll be free on Max. So it was free on Max, and I said, well, I'm not going to let my wife sit through it because it might be violent. And I sat there, and I was in a sling, nowhere to go. And as I told you, for 2 hours, I was nowhere but Gotham City.
Yeah.
I said, like, how can anybody, and I guess I get it, man. Like, there's a lot of different reasons to watch cinema, but cinema to me, at the ground of cinema, it's a form of art. And his performance is absolutely art worthy. I mean, it's to miss his performance. It would be a absolute shame. I could live without her. I could live without the musical, but it all fit. It was a very sad. It was a very sad movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when he get in the ending, man, was just. It felt more like a play than a movie because it felt like that was the final fucking scene. And man, he fucking got what he got when he turned around. And man, that fucking it went to black and the curtain shut.
Yeah, it's Shakespearean.
Yeah, very.
Ways,
and I thought, like, I said to myself, I said, fuck, man, this got raped on the fucking reviews. I said, I don't know if you're going into something and you want it to, and you want, Avengers fucking, Infinity or some shit, one of these CGI. No, man, you're not going to get that.
Right.
But as far as just, I would love to see that in black and white.
Well, that's interesting. It was a black and white film, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we all watched that Talented Mr. Ripley that was on Netflix?
Ripley, the follow.
The Ripley, yeah.
Ripley, yeah.
Yeah, well, it was just Ripley.
Loved
and
it.
it was done in that fucking, it was just like...
so rich.
God, and it's just like there are certain things on this planet that, it's like when you see Bourdain, and like my DVR picks up anything Bourdain. So on one Sunday they played like 9 or 10 of his shows. It was this last series before he passed, and he was with his buddy, and they went to Marseille, and they go out, and this cheese comes at the end of the meal, and they're having this orgasm over this cheese. And they're two boys, man. They're drinking wine, and it's just like, and you know how fucking brutally he's just so sad. He's such a sad, like Bourdain was so sad. This is, I don't know if this is after he found out about the situation with the girl that he had fallen in love with,
right,
or any of that shit. But it's just like but every time you would see him, he would always have that. Even if he was laughing or smiling, you could see he was like the Joker. He had those eyes.
The eyes weren't laughing.
Yeah, they were never laughing. And it's just, and I don't think anybody that ever gets hooked on heroin fucking ever gets that zeal back in their eyes. I think that's. It's such a like I've seen people, man, that I've known several people that have OD'd on it, and it's been part of their life, and it's just like, man, that's one of those drugs where it's just, and I'm going all over the place with Bourdain, Joker, and heroin, but it's.
I like the black and white suggestion, though. That's
Yeah,
really
I
interesting.
think
I didn't think about that, but it is. It does. It would have worked so effectively also as black. But there would have been, talk about another strike. There's the musical thing. Now you would have black and white. It would have been the butt of
but if it
everyone's
would have
joke.
been black and white, then don't you think
It
that
would have set itself apart even more.
Yeah, because then it's just like you're saying, okay, this is art.
This is something different. Don't come if you want
Yeah,
Fast and the Furious.
right.
The mindless bullshit is in Theater 7.
Yeah.
Do you remember? You remember I told you guys that I read for this Joker. I think I mentioned it on the air. I couldn't tell you what it was. I don't remember if I told you guys off the air. I had to sign all this confidentiality shit when I had to. So it was the scene when after what happens in the courtroom happens in the courtroom, and he dives into a cab or a car, and he's being carted away.
He's got the two clowns with him.
And you never see the driver, but you hear his commentary throughout the whole thing when he finds out who he's driving. It was to voice that to the driver of the cab. And, whoever they hired, God bless him, good job. No different than what I did. So, I don't know. It's probably producer's son. But,
you know how that goes.
Of course. Good film, though.
I was up for a part, and a while back, and the guy that got it was the guy from Park and Rec. We Are the Millers. He was in the fucking what the fuck is his name?
Here it is. Who got it? Dom wins. Ron Swanson?
No, it's a fucking real actor.
Let's see.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Look, I'm reading all these names. I'm looking at all these faces on the screen here.
The Park and Rec guy. Go to Park and Rec and go to cast.
It's on the screen.
So he's a fourth guy over. Boom.
Nick Offerman.
Yeah, Offerman. Yeah, Offerman.
Ron Swanson, the character was Ron Swanson, Nick Offerman. What was the film?
No, it was a TV show.
Oh.
And it was just like, and I told my agent, like, I go on offer only. Like, I'm not going to fucking read for it. And, I went through this whole process of going through this, and I'm just like, really? And I'm up against this fucking guy? Like, I'm not even in the same ballpark.
Well, but you got submitted. They called.
Yeah, but it's just like I don't even fit. Like I look at I read the script and everything else. I read the sides, and it's just like it's for somebody with his sensibilities, not mine. So I was just like, and I told my agent, I said, again, like, fuck, come on, man. Like,
again.
like, fuck, like, don't just, that's why like, when it's an offer, sure is funny every time it's an offer, fucking, I end up doing the film, or I end up doing the project, because they've vetted the process.
Right. If they're going to put money behind it, they've
already
for it.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, you either want Kevin Nash or you don't. There's no, I don't know, Rob Lowe, Kevin Nash.
You don't have to deal with the guy, the Irish guy.
Yeah.
Reading.
But he was great. He was so great in that
Nick Offerman.
The HBO show. Offerman. Mm-hmm. He plays a God, what episode was that? Was it what show was that? Last of Us. Yeah. He was on Last of Us, and he was like living in this, like, by himself. It's like because it's like a zombie type gimmick, and he runs across the guy that's the neighbor on the Bundys, that has, like, he kind of comes across kind of gay.
The clean cut guy on the show.
Yeah.
The short gelled hair.
Well, he runs across him, and I think he actually he catches him in like a trap, and he can't. Offerman puts the ladder down, and they end up becoming lovers. The two guys. You really don't see it coming, but I think he makes rabbit for him, and they start talking about the pairing of the wine with the rabbit, and I'm thinking like, oh, I see where this is going, and then he ends up
it's in his mouth.
He ends up if I can get the guy from Married with Children ends up getting cancer or some shit. And it just was a fucking that. I loved that show. I just thought that show was just really well done. Looking forward to that coming back. That was one of T's. That was one of the last video games that T and I played together. So
yeah. Kev, how about a little Florida Man Jersey guy?
Okay.
To get us into the mix here. If you don't know what this is, I like to propose two stories to Kevin, one an actual headline.
I have an idea. I have an idea of it. We're gonna pick a product. We're gonna describe it, and then it's we called Rock or Hogan, who will put us.
Who would you rather have come out to sell your shit on your Netflix debut?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have a product coming up in a couple of minutes we'll play that with. And I already know who I'm going to answer for that. But here's the first headline in Florida Man Jersey Guy. Man accused of killing fiancé day after he proposed to her in Facebook video. A hopeless romantic, no doubt. And the second one is trial coming soon for man suing over school's refusal to display Satan banners. First one, man accused of killing fiancé day after he proposed to her in a Facebook video. Second one, trial coming soon for man suing over school's refusal to display Satan banners.
I got to go Florida with Satan and go Facebook, which is kind of techie, to Jersey.
Correct. Yes, indeed. For the New Jersey edition of Love Connection, we go to, this is Jose Mello, charged with the murder of his 31-year-old fiancée, Nacket. Oh, he's 52. She was 31. Nacket Jadix Trinidad Maldonado, her name was. A day after he posted that proposal online, the registered sex offender working as a DJ in New Jersey stabbed his fiancée to death and was charged. Although, here's some irony, she was found dead in their home on Florida Street in Elizabeth, New Jersey.
I knew there had to be some kind of correlation.
Some connection, right?
Yeah. Guy had when they arrested me, he had a fucking seashell jammed up his ass.
Elizabeth, New Jersey, home to lookers, which is, of course,
a fine diner.
A fine diner. They had food.
Yeah, Lookers. That fucking Lookers diner was good, man.
Trial coming soon for Florida man. A free speech activist suing over Florida school's refusal to display his Satan banner is going to get his day in court. You're looking at Timothy Chaz Stevens, by the way, is a minister in what he calls the Church of Satanology and Perpetual Soiree. He wanted to display a banner that said, Satan loves the First Amendment. At several schools in the county. What county would this be? Broward County.
Okay.
And so he's suing the district. All right,
so he's not paying taxes, right? I mean,
he's a minister. It's a church.
Nice.
I guess the Church of Satan is also. By the way, there's his beer Festivus pole that he brought to the press conference very proudly.
It only makes sense that he'd have his pole out.
Blue Chew, longtime sponsor of ours. Thank you, Kevin, for leaving the goalie out of the net right there.
Got it.
And good God, Blue Chew has been with us long and strong And so would you go Rock or Hogan for this one? Who's coming out to push Blue Chew?
I'm going to go Rock.
Rock hard. Right?
Because he did, when he came out, he put his arm up and he showed the goosebumps. But he could come out and turn that hand like this and show those veins. Big blue veiner.
Have better sex with Blue Chew. That's what we're talking about. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets. The original brand. Don't deal with these knockoffs, guys. These erection-enhancing tablets help men achieve stronger, harder, and longer-lasting erections for sexual activities. Blue Chew is putting its money where its mouth is. They're going to give you a month free. The process, the golden egg here is the process. You go to BlueChew.com. Go right now. We'll give you a few minutes. You sign up. You consult with one of their licensed medical providers. This is online. Once you're approved, bang. You get the prescription within days. And then bang. You're banging. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA, prepared and shipped directly to your door. Take them anytime, day or night. Just pop them so you're planned ahead. You're ready to go whenever the opportunity arises. It's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office. No awkward conversations. No waiting in line at the pharmacy. You're asking if this works. We've had testimonials we've read here, and it's time for you to find out for yourself, guys, if you haven't already. I don't know what you're waiting for. This is the new generation, the new age here. This is all of our worries fading away.
Why do we need testimonials? It works.
Yeah.
Ask the co-pilot.
You could be missing out on the best sex of your life if you don't do this, guys. And there's nothing sexier than confidence. And that's what this is. It's the confidence builder. Make life easier by getting harder, and discover your options right now at BlueChew.com. We've got that special deal for our listeners. Your first month is free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
And for the ladies that are out there and they're listening to us, I know Christmas is long gone, but this is a hell of a little stocking stuffer.
This is a gift for both of you.
I mean, yeah, like
absolutely.
Put 20 milligrams of Cialis in your
stocking there.
Yeah, and once that football game gets out of reach, just reach over and give it a fucking little tug and see if you guys don't.
That's all it would take is a little tug.
Yeah,
if you're blue chewed up and ready to rock.
See if he's not finding that score at 11 o'clock on SportsCenter. So.
Wait for the Hogan promo, and then go into the bedroom. You'll be out by the time it's done. All right, we're back. Kliq This, the Kevin Nash podcast. The high spot of the show every week is brought to you by our friends Mickey, Ray, Sinatra, and Courtney, and their Get Blitzed Lit Aid. Nano-infused.
Literally a high spot.
You got it. Delta 9, THC, sip and syrup. You see what we did there. Have you tried the Delta 9 sip and syrup? This, what we're talking about, is just a teaspoon. It's all you need, a teaspoon in your drink of choice. And it's THC on steroids. It's a syrup. You mix it in, and fast onset, 5 to 15 minutes. This is what nano-infused means. It's going to go right into the bloodstream, bypass the breakdown in the liver. The exciting thing about this is very soon, we just learned, literally, while we were on the air here, that our new Kliq This version, the flavors, the Kliq This inspired flavors of Kev's Key Lime and Sean's Blue Raz Lemonade is hitting the production line now. We're ready to roll. And if you got one of those, if you want one of those limited edition cans, that was the test run. You can get it through their pre-sale giveaway here. If you're in Maryland, you could hit a Stay Lit smoke shop, but for the rest of us, it's legal to ship. Get blitzed to almost all 50 states without a med card as long as you're over 21. And right now you can save 15% by entering the code KLIQ, K-L-I-Q, at checkout. Go to get-blitzed.com. That's get-blitzed.com and use that code KLIQ, K-L-I-Q. Save your 15%. And if you get 2 bottles or more, you're going to get one of the limited edition Kliq This pre-sale giveaway. Limited edition cans of the THC Lit Aid Seltzer, which is delicious. Orders over $200, you're going to get 2 cans, one of each flavor. So just be sure to specify in the checkout notes if you want the Key Lime or the Blue Raz if you're only getting 1 can. head over to get-blitzed.com and make the magic happen. I'm not kidding you. Our flavors, Kevin, are absolutely delicious.
I think so.
I had 2 cases. I gave so many of these cans out. Everybody came back and talked about how delicious they were.
I've got a couple cans left. I got to bring my buddy John. I've been telling him all week that I was going to bring him some because he found he went to Total Wine and found one there, and I said ours is coming to Total Wine. I said let me bring you ours before you get hooked
Sweet.
on. So John, I promise you, tomorrow is Friday. I would have done it today, but I had to drive to Deltona to go to the tag office because it ain't a day unless you're going to the hood. So
you'll get him cans next week, maybe. How about
no, I'll
that?
get them tomorrow.
Get them tomorrow. All right. Here's
Friday,
here's our new
which
can.
is
Would you like to see?
which is actually Tuesday.
Yeah, I know you don't like to do that, so I won't say watch Raw tonight on Netflix. Here's the new label. There it is, Kevin Me after closing the club, after doing a set with the Dino and Sammy, and
Sean, is it coming in a 4-pack? Is that how they're going to sell it? Like they sell it
I
to
think
us?
so. Yeah. I think they'll
Yeah.
be in those 4-packs, and there it is. It's gorgeous. The new logo, the new Kevin Sean, the Rat Pack era right there. We'll let you know when you can grab it at your local store. I'm excited. I need another case, Mickey. Come on. I'm out. When I entertain, I fill the martini glasses with those. Stop with the alcohol. Killing us. All right. Kev, Ask Nash is the portion where we open you up to the public, our live audience. Like the P, who said, hey, Dr. Sexy, had my first of 3 Euflexxa shots for a horizontal oblique tear of the posterior horn with low-grade cartilage loss. Any exercise or rehab advice to do at home? Don't want to do PT as prescribed. Nobody better out there than you guys. You got that
I don't
right.
even know what the fuck he just had done.
I didn't, but I don't expect to. I would assume
What
that you
is
did.
it
All right, so
called?
let's take a look here. Euflexxa, a gel-like injection that treats pain caused by osteoarthritis in the knee.
Is that shit made out of a fucking a rooster's comb?
It's hyaluronan, which acts as an artificial lubricant for the joint.
Yeah. Okay. Number one, you can fucking go in there and do deadlifts. You can do whatever you want because this shit don't fucking work.
The injection won't work?
No, it's not gonna do shit. Hate to tell you that, man, but if it worked, you'd be getting it done in Colombia.
Right.
Wouldn't be getting it done here.
Fernum Schneevitz back. With your back situation and the pain that comes with it, what do you use for pain relief? I'm having similar back problems and wondered if you had any advice. Advil, Tylenol, aspirin, heat, icy hot. I'm avoiding opiates of any kind.
Oh fuck! I mean, the best thing to do is to stretch. Any kind of if you could take yourself and like even on your couch, and if it's got like a decent an arm on your couch, and you put a pillow over the top of that couch, and you just hang with your hips in that couch and let your upper body lay over it and just elongate that your spine
Decompresses.
And I also find that, like, for me, one side's worse than the other. So if I lay on the floor, and it's hard in our house, man, because we have all hardwood or tiles. But I'll grab one of my wife's yoga mats, and I'll put one of those round roller gimmicks.
Yeah.
I'll put that like on my hip on that side and just let my like kind of just so you're just got that concave, and especially it'll like for me, mine's L2, L3 is where my problem is. So I kind of you kind of have to look at a diagram of where that actually sits in your groin, like in your girdle, and put that thing kind of to coincide with that area. And I'll tell you, man, there's a lot of times that I've done that, and I'll get relief for 2 or 3 days. And
I
then
made an impulse purchase, Kevin, after seeing something on Instagram of this curved. It's a blue thing, and it's curved, and you put it on your lower back, and you lay down on it, and
I have one for my neck.
And it's like it's jolting for the first few times when you have to first start to get the curvature going. But even doing it for 2 minutes, when I stand up, an instant noticeable difference.
Yes.
It's actually remarkable.
Because what happens is, like anything else, so you have an injury, and that injury causes your body to produce pain. Pain is telling you, dude, you're fucked up. Don't move.
Right.
So, and then what do? Then you become immobile. What you want, and then 9 times out of 10, you've got some kind of disc degeneration. So you're losing height in your disc, which means that in the back of all your discs, you've got those holes that the nerves come out, and as those discs shorten, all that shit gets crunched.
That's stenosis.
So when you can when you can open that up, or you can come down with me and spend $30,000 and get injected in your spine with stem cells.
How about some questions from the house? We have a ton of people looking to talk to you. Britt, do you think The Rock and Roman's schedule are causing the Bloodline storyline to become a bit stagnant and stale at the moment?
It's funny because a lot of people say, like, that thing's been going on for a long time, that Bloodline.
Yes. It never excited me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that, the fact that Roman's the tribal chief is, that's where it should be. I don't know. I thought the War Games thing was like, I thought it was that may be, it's just hard to come back with that. Like for Roman to fight solo on the first Netflix and get a hold of to become the tribal chief, I think that's was a good move.
To further illustrate, whoever you referenced before, I forget, that said wrestling is kind of like no other, like nothing else in the world. How many other sports or forms of entertainment can you use that sentence where so-and-so is the tribal chief, and that's the way it should be? Illustrating that point perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely a different...
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the tribal chief. You never heard that on a call.
No.
Who else we got in the house here? David. I was too young to appreciate him, but I'm watching a lot of Larry Bird documentaries and videos lately. Where do you guys see Larry Legend in the Pantheon of all-time greats? Listen, he was my all-time favorite, so you're going to get the most biased fucking answer in the world, David. There was never and will never be another Larry Bird. This
because he was so fucking ugly.
Absolutely correct. He was the tribal chief, the ugliest tribal chief ever, because of his limited athleticism. All the numbers you could talk about, all the, what he averaged in assists and boards. He was 6'9". He was never the tallest guy on the court. He never jumped the highest. He never ran the fastest, but he worked the hardest for the ball, and the most clutch player I've ever seen in my life. As long as he was on the court, if you were wearing a different uniform, I don't care how many points you were ahead, you weren't safe. It was like a superhero on the court every time you watched a game with him in it because he could save the day.
He was deceptively athletic. He had one of the fastest releases. He would fucking tell a guy to come out, come out, come out, come out, come out. And the guy would come out and fucking Boo'd would fucking shoot it. And the guy'd be like, motherfucker, next time he fucking shoots, I'm getting it. And they never would. It was just like, I've seen
Passing, as much emphasis on passing as shooting, and he was one of the greatest shooters of all time.
If I had to pick one of those two guys from that era, boy, it's a very hard pick for me to pick between Magic and Boo'd. I think that.
Wouldn't it depend on the rest of the team? The other four
Well, no,
guys?
I'm just saying. I think that Jabbar was better, of course, than I think that than McCallum and
Parrish.
and Parrish for that era. So that whole era, like with the, if you want to see a documentary, if you're watching the Boo'd documentaries, watch that fucking Bad Boys documentary.
The Pistons.
The Pistons. Because I mean, you're talking about, that was when Isaiah and Rodman says at first, where if he wasn't a white boy, he wouldn't even be talked about. And but I don't know. I he's not in my top 10.
Who isn't?
Boo'd.
You're insane.
He's not my top 10.
The entire team was better, which you can't say about Jordan.
What's that?
Jordan was capable of remarkable individual performances. More so maybe than anybody I've watched, but Boo'd made the entire team better. He consciously got people involved.
God, what did somebody say the other day? It was on a sports show. They were talking basketball. They were talking LeBron and Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
Look at that Celtics team. Parrish, McHale, Danny Ainge. Not the top echelon of the NBA. And those were world championship teams. And it was because they built it around Boo'd.
I think that they did a really good job, especially Auerbach and that whole crew always did a really good job of putting, and when you watch the Piston thing, they had Adrian Dantley until they got rid of Dantley and brought in Mark Aguirre, and they were like, oh my God, this guy was poisoning fucking Dallas. It's just like, you have to have the right pieces, Rodman was so essential to that Piston team, and then you take Rodman and you put him with Jordan, and it's like, that was like another fucking, and that was that piece. It was like taking when Orlando got Grant.
Ho Grant with the glasses?
Yeah, they got Grant when they had Penny and Shaq.
Yeah.
And that was one of, to me, that's one of those teams. If I have to pick anybody in an era I just think that Shaq in his fucking prime is the most dominant player that's ever been in the league. Just by far. And there's a clip of Shaq. And I'm not talking 400-pound Shaq. I'm talking 312-pound Shaq. And he's playing one-on-one with Jordan. Jordan can't do shit with him. And they're just playing pickup. And it's just I mean, that motherfucker, to me, Shaq is the most dominant single factor. And you look at it, he almost as I think his second year, they almost won it. Again, they came back, they almost won it. Penny Hardaway got hurt, and then they didn't. Orlando fucked off and didn't give him the money. Jerry West did, and then boom, they picked up Colby, and they got 3 straight.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right, next question. I could talk basketball all day. Tyler Blair.
I love me some basketball.
I'm hoping the WWE Vault will release a restored version of Kev's commentary appearance on Thunder. Any memories of that night?
It's always nice not to have to pay for beer. It was my last night. It was just like I didn't give a fuck. It was one of the funnest nights I've had because I didn't. It wasn't like I wanted. Like people think that I made some kind of power move to get that job to book, and I never really had control. I was always. I didn't have creative control over Hulk because if I did, he would have been the president. He would have been our Vince. I would have had Hulk Hogan bought WCW, and then I would have had that. Would have been my storyline. I would have went with. But that wasn't because Terry. We saw his contract. If he didn't work, he wasn't getting paid, and they definitely, with us losing money, weren't going to rewrite his. Oh, we're going to give you a more favorable contract as we lose money, Terry, and you're not even going to wrestle. So, but it was just a good night. Excellent hair night. Sporting a Diamondbacks jersey. I mean, that's
your tan is rivaled only by Zbyszko.
I'll put that hair up against anybody in the businesses ever on that night.
I'll put Larry Bird's face up against Larry Zbyszko's in a close-up on any night.
Larry's a good fucker.
Another question from the house.
Man, that was out there with Larry, and I've always loved Tenay. Like Tenay has always been. I've always considered Mike one of my dearest friends. We'll talk to each other once a year for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was at TNA, I spent a lot of almost every Monday night I spent with Mike Tenay and Don West and Keith Mitchell. Like that was the 4 of us. It was always the tripod. It was always Mike Tenay and Don West and myself, and we'd sit. You talk about 2 fuckers that just talk sports.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just.
Jamie Joshua, as creator of the main event Mafia, what were your thoughts when TNA did the new main event Mafia in 2013 with Sting, Angle, Joe, and Magnus?
I don't even know if I've watched it.
Okay.
So before we go any further, I have to get this because every fucking week we get into this thing and we get pushed. How about the motherfucking Detroit Lions? I mean,
couldn't give me the over though this week, could you?
Fuck! I tried.
Yeah.
It's just because they couldn't score. How did I know that fucking that the practice squad would shut them out? I mean, it was just like, Jesus, man.
You're right.
You know,
that's what happens when you get this late in the season. Yeah.
It's just like fuck. It's like Thor showed up and changed the whole defensive complexity. I mean, it was just like that was one of those games where, if you look back at it, Gibbs gets the score. They get a couple of field goals. So we're going to go in. It's going to be 9-7 Lions down. They fuck off, kick that shitty ball. We fucking throw one down, get it in field goal range. Boom, we go in fucking 10-9. We come out fucking. I went upstairs to take the fucking my laundry and put it from the washer into the dryer and do something else. I came down and we were 10 up. I went, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's so loud in that building. and it just doesn't come across. I tell you, when you know how loud it is when they did the first half, and they went to the locker rooms, and they came back from commercial, and their fucking mics were so low you could barely hear them talk because they'd had them jacked so high in order to hear over that. And they tried to make the adjustment. They had to make the adjustment like for the first 30 seconds at half. And then I think right then is where they had that spot for Real American Beer. I might be wrong.
Send me one more, Steve-O. All right, Tyler Blair. Wasn't that the problem with Turner? You had a guy filming NASCAR one week and then filming WCW the next. Just a job to him without any technique.
Yeah, and then it was so many times it'd be baseball season, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's doing a Braves game, and we've like Scott used to always say, the difference between working for Vince and working for Turner was Vince was a wrestling company that had wrestling. Turner was an entertainment company that had wrestling. Like
Right.
all we did was wrestling at WWE.
Right. Kliq, this is a production of Butch and Sundance Media, produced in association with Podcast Heat, created by Tristan Nash, Kevin Nash, and Sean Oliver, producer Steve Kaufman, graphics by Dominic D'Angelo, title sequence and audio edit by Wesley Burleson, theme song by Dale Oliver, technical research by Tristan Nash, copyright 2025, Butch and Sundance Media. Kev, do you want to do another one?
Only if I can eat some fucking spicy wings.
Ass is killing.
Customer service never answers a thing. Let us free to breathe in air we're supposed to breathe. The twists and turns you've come to love. Never answers a thing. Yeah, the customer service never answers a thing.